What is going on, gamers and gals? It's your boy Neosynthesis, coming back at you for the first time in a while, and I'm sorry about that. Life's been a little crazy past couple weeks. I'm still kind of in the midst of finals, so don't expect a full revival. I don't know if this channel will ever get back to the point where it was, where I was basically uploading like 4 videos a day. But to those of you who want to kind of stick around on what I'm going to try to do next, I still want to be very Yu-Gi-Oh focused, but you know, I'll play Master Duel as they kind of update it, and it looks like they're doing some positive things there, so perhaps I'll be returning somewhat to that game. But I think my channel is just going to focus more on Yu-Gi-Oh, and perhaps I'll even explore other projects moving forward. But right now, I'm having a lot of fun going to a lot of locals with my buddy Alex. I wish I could be going to more of them, but school's really been consuming me. But you know, we went to the regional in South Carolina. He did better than me. I started off, you know, 2-0, but unfortunately, I just let my opponent, you know, do some illegal plays with activating Rite of Haramazir and Aluber normal summon in the same turn, which is really dumb of me, but, you know, a lot of the times people don't build a deck with the interaction in it in the first place, so it's not something that I'm normally thinking of off the top of my head, like, no, wait, you're, like, locked out. Obviously, it won't happen again, but at the regional level, it's really, you know, both players' responsibility to, A, maintain the game state, and B, like, maintain the game state is, like, kind of also preventing cheating, but, like, you have to kind of be expecting people are going to cheat at that level. But we've been going to a lot of locals. We actually, he picked up the mats from the event. We've played in 2 locals. I believe he's gotten first in both of the 2 that we've gone to at this new OTS store we've been going to. And I got second at this most recent one, top 8 in the last one, which got me this kind of cool live twin OTS Field Center. Pretty dope. So that's like that's one of my first like Konami prizes in a very long time. And then we got the Eldlich token from the pack, and we just got a whole new suite of tokens because it's just like a new day in our Yu-Gi-Oh career. But we're riding out Eldlich to the absolute like wheels fall off. Basically, we're gonna play this until Splight is legal, or this is illegal. Which on the next ban list, this might be they might cut this thing's head off. I don't know. I might also be interested in pick up the Therians next set. But you know, we'll just have to see. I need to do some testing with the Therians. But Splight is like the main. Splight is what everyone should have their eyes on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But until then, I'm going to try to play Eldlich in a lot of serious events. You know, we don't play in serious events every single day, but Eldlich is not very fun. That's the main thing that I would say. Like I want to play a combo deck, but this deck is definitely the most competitive. This is why I took the regional. And I'm just going through the like best Eldlich cards straight up. You know, straight out the bat. These cards. 2 Golden Lord and 3 Eld Land, I think is right, because basically you don't want to draw these cards super hard going second. You're better off drawing these cards. Or, no, sorry, these cards are good going second. These cards are not good going first, but this card's better going second, and it's this card going... this card's better going first, and it's this card going second. This card sets up some of your stupidest, like, turn 1 resource loops, where you're, like, using this to add... you know, this discards something else to pop this, and then, you know, this sends, this thing sends a golden land. It's really crazy how much engine you can set up turn 1 when you draw this card. And you just want to see it in your opening hand every game. And the golden lords are not really that way. They're like, you know, it's 2 of, it's a searchable. You definitely need 2. Just because your 1 gets banished so often. You need, like, so often you're just standing on the legs of 1 Golden Lord, where the other one's just banished. Which is why there's an argument for 3, but there's just not enough, I think, quick banishing removal in the format, which could be changing right now, because of Despia. Like, we're getting, I'm getting belled all the time. But anyway, that's it for, like, the generic Eldlich spells and traps that are like, you know, I think every deck should pretty much be playing. if not this ratio, the 3 Golden Lord. But the Eldland is pretty much supreme, like one of the best cards in the entire deck, in my opinion. And then we're running kind of a weird Eldlich Spell and Trap suite. We're going, by the way, we're gonna go through like the engines instead of like the traditional Spell Trap monsters, because I think it's way better to do it this way. So we actually are running 4 Eldlichers. So these are the obvious ones. I feel like we don't really need to talk about this. This deck's been kind of beaten into the dirt, but this card, like special summoning out the Eldlord, is amazing. This card, and and it starts your like value chains, but this card is also going to start your value chains. Now it's only spell speed 1, which kind of sucks. We don't really love spell speed 1 cards, just because we can't like do them in the battle phase, and we can't do them on our opponent's turn. But what we can do is get an Eldlich out of our deck and start our resource loop with this card, which is something you can't do with a lot of cards in the deck, and is often the difference between winning and losing the game. Like, you need to start your Eldlich resource loops, and this card does that for you. It's a good card to draw going second or going first, regardless of how sometimes it feels to draw this card, because it's not like a live trap. It will get your like chain going, and your chain is very important for you to win. That's like how you basically win with Eldlich, is just going +1 like a lot of times, which is good enough a lot of the time, but you need some grease to make it work, is all I'll pretty much say there. We'll talk about what I think are like grease pieces in this deck, which is basically your wins. You need like cards that will basically auto win you the game. So for the Golden Land Suite, we run pretty standard, of the like actually really good resource loop Golden Land cards. So 3 Conch, 2 Hawk, and Conch is amazing. Hawk is also amazing. Hawk being a DPE out is fantastic. We absolutely love to see that. The Conquistadors are, they're not the greatest, but they also just pop like any face-up card, and they don't target. So, they come up a lot, and they're really, you can stack them up and make rank 5s, or, link them away to get your resource loops going. Hawkero being an 1800 is also pretty relevant, and we're running one kind of weird card, Golden Land Forever. I don't know how weird it is anymore, but I think Jerome Adams, I believe is his name, the guy who got second place at YCS Charlotte, was running this card, and ever since then I've been running in my deck, and it's been pretty fantastic, because at the end of the Eldlich chain, sometimes you're just like exhausting all of the Hawks and Conquistadors in your deck, and you're just like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I don't really have, like, the game state's really simplified, but I don't really know how I can win. Sometimes this is, like, your win condition, because you have, like, a random, a random horse or a random, like, zombie on your board, and you can just, like, tribute it off and get, like, a Solemn Judgment, and then your resource loop will, like, continue if you still have more to go, because you tributed, like, a Golden Land, or you can tribute Eldlich itself, because Eldlich itself is, like, more than likely going to draw a spell or trap, considering, like, the really low monster number in the deck. And then like, when he comes out, I mean, it's really tough in simplified game states to just beat Eldlich. This format I don't think is particularly conducive to simplified game states, because so many decks are so good, and so many 1 to 2 card combos end in like such obscene boards. But I think that it's feasible to get a lot of wins just off the Eldlich stuff, but the real grease is like the stuff that we have surrounding the Eldlich. So the Eldlich is like the backbone of the deck. It's like how you basically win. We're only running 2 Lord of Headling Prison. I probably would like a 3rd. I would definitely run 3 if I had 3, because this card's just fantastic, being able to not search, but literally set from the deck any spell or trap, protecting all your monsters, like I said, and then like protecting all your monsters, protecting all your set cards, protecting all of the set cards on the field, including your opponents, from destruction, so you can basically, survive Lightning Storm, survive Duster, those kind of cards, Twin Twisters, even DPE is going to be not able to interact with this card. And then when you activate one card in your end phase, you activate a card in your end phase, excuse me, you can activate, like, there's like some chainable stuff in the deck basically that you can activate in the end phase, is what I'm trying to get at here. And then you can get this card out, and it's going to be immune to skill drain, immune to Valor, immune to Imperm, and like not ashable. He's gonna come right out, be a 3K beater, absolutely insane, 3K wall as well. And yeah, he's really good. He comes out, he sets a spell and trap if he was revealed, which 99% of the time you're gonna reveal him unless your like opponent's making you draw a card in like a really weird angle. But Golden, Lord Forever, and Lord of the Heavenly Prison, they definitely go together. These cards are completely bonkers. So we're only running 2, but I would run 3 if I had 3. But like I said, I'm trying to save up for other potential new decks that are coming out in the format. And then these are like, obviously Juice. This is like pure +1. We absolutely love this. We don't really need our extra deck. Don't really ever want to go into it. These are like some of the best cards you can see in your deck. That's another thing. I'm learning 40 cards just because, I want to see everything the most. And I would even be running potentially Prosperities in this deck, maybe 2, maybe cut down 1 Extravagance and go to... Or, no, I wouldn't cut down 1 Extravagance. It's too insane. Probably 2 Prosperity if I had it, but I don't have Prosperity because that card is $120. We have 3 Solemn Strike. This is like one of the best cards in the deck. This card stops like, DPE, Drytrons. Drytrons, I just play against my buddy all the time, play Drytrons. Prank Kids, it's really good versus Prank Kids. It's good versus, it's literally just good versus everything in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now. Spell Speed 3. Effect Negation for 1,500 life points. Like, the life points just don't matter. I mean, sometimes you will lose, like, games in time because of this card, which is just unfortunate. This is all of the Solemns we're running. We're not running Warning because it's... We're not running Warning because it's bad, but we're not running Judgment because a lot of the time people don't have spell trap removal in your main deck, and most of the time that's what you're saving the Solemn Judgment for in the first place. And Solemn Strike can a lot of the time stop a lot of people's strategy to blow up the whole board. Like we can stop a unfortunately we can't stop like the Megalith stuff, but nobody's really playing that. But we can stop like Zeus with this card. We can stop a lot of people's like inbuilt ways to blow up the board. And yeah, this card's completely insane. This is like one of the last cards. So sorry if this sounds a little weird, but this is like the second time I recorded this. I actually stopped because like my roommates' dogs were just like barking a ton. So I had to like go check out and try to figure out why they were doing that. But yeah, so sorry, we're on to like the generic cards if that wasn't clear after I got through the Eldlich cards. So those are our first generic trap, just the Solemn Strike. I think this is like the best trap in the deck. The second best trap in the deck is probably Ice Dragon's Prison. This card like allows you to basically make a board presence out of absolutely nothing, or cut off like really powerful resource loops in the case of like a spent Destroy Phoenix Enforcer that like locked you out of the extra deck because they didn't know you were playing Drytron, or sorry, they locked you out of the extra deck using Artifact Scythe because they didn't know you were on Eldlich. There's a lot of decks in the format that are setting that up right now. Not Despia, namely, but this card's also good versus Despia. This card's also, good versus Despia. This card's just good versus everything. This is, like, probably the best trap in the deck. Like I said, we really want to see our good cards, which is why we're running consistency cards like Extravagance, and why we're running only 40 cards in the deck, just because we don't want to see a ton. So yeah, this card allows you to like summon back DPE from the graveyard that's been popped, so it can't be resummon in the next standby phase, or you can special summon the Celestial or the Dasher from the graveyard and banish DPE and the Dasher as well, which is really, really powerful. As long as the DPE is spent, because otherwise it's going to get itself off the board and you're not going to be able to banish it. But this card's really, really strong in the format, and yeah, I think Ice Dragon's Prison kind of speaks for itself here. And then this is like our anti-Despia deck, Dimension Barrier. Like this is real. Obviously, this is like a blowout versus Despia, I feel, because your deck is like it's got real traps and real floodgates and stuff, and you've got a lot of grease to make it work. I just kind of talking about like the juice cards in the deck. You've got like your Golden Lords. The Eldlich deck itself is really strong. It stands on its own, and when you can blow out a deck like Despia for one turn and then like floodgate him out of the game, potentially with like, you know, real Floodgates. Dimension Barrier is just like a no-brainer to me. And then like it's got applications in like the Prank Kid matchup, which I think is like the second best deck of the format. And then like it's got Drytron applications, and it's got you know, it's got quite a few applications. I feel like this card is probably main deckable in this deck in particular, just because of how insane how like it's a trap deck, and like this is one of the best traps in the format in my opinion. And then for the rest of the normal traps, we only run 2 TT. This is really sad. This like makes me cry. I wish I could run 3 of this card. I just don't have the space. But we do run, like, we technically run 3, so this is like our suite of normal traps basically. Except, you know, barring the Solemn Strike, we have like a suite of, you know, the 2 Torrential we can potentially get from the deck, the D barriers, and then the prisons. So often this is going to be, I feel like this is enough to make the trap trick worth it. You could run another trap trick. I just don't know what you would cut, because the deck is just, like I said, so dang tight. But I feel like I have never really drawn trap trick and had it been completely dead, because like you can get the Eldlich sort of Scarlet Sanguine off this card if you're in like a really desperate situation, you're like, you know, about to win. I just wouldn't recommend it. But these cards are all pretty good to be able to trigger, or to be able to get the trap trick. You know, it probably will happen that I will one day draw the trap trick and it'll be completely dead. But we can always send it for Golden Lord. So spells and traps are never truly dead in the Eldlich deck. So that's it for like our kind of, you know, general disruption. This is what I would call like the unfair section of the deck, because we run 3 skill drain. That card is pretty fair right here. 3 Rivalry of the Warlord. I'm getting ahead of myself. And then we're running 2 Summon Limit. So I was originally on the 10 you know, Floodgate hype train for a very long time after the remote duel YCS. But it's pretty much, I think it's clear that you don't need that many Floodgates, and perhaps that was holding me back. I think cutting to this number is pretty respectable. I think Summon Limit is disgusting. This card is really unfair. Tikaboo is just like not, I think, good enough anymore in the format because of how bad it is versus Despia. You only want to be running Floodgates that are actually good versus Despia. Skill Drain is pretty insane versus Despia. I mean, like stopping a Luber, stopping, you know, their fusions on the board. It's really good. Summon Limit is pretty bonkers versus them as well. And Rivalry of the Warlords is a classic blowout. This is this is an auto win card versus Despia. We play 4 other auto win cards, because we play the trap trick basically as a more consistency tool to see whichever normal trap we need in you know, whatever situation. So that's it for the main deck. Like I said, 40 cards. We have to keep it tight because we want to draw our good ones. Extra deck doesn't really matter. Only expensive card that you quote unquote need is Zeus. Everything else is banished fodder. You know, I pray to God I don't banish my Zeus and I shuffle my extra deck. 2 Lead, 2 Dora, 2 Gustav. Yeah, these cards are pretty self-explanatory. Burning 2 turns towers, OTK. That's all. Those are the only words that need to be said there. You run 2 of each because it's an extravagance board. 2 Pleiades, yep. Best rank 5 you can make it because your traps are level 5 light. And yeah, this card's insane. I used it to add back a hand trap. Wait. No, I used it to add back Lord of the Heavenly Prison back to my hand in a tournament recently because it was just on the board. It was actually fantastic because I got to protect my back row against, you know, whatever he was going to draw off the top of the deck. And then we'll just go through the links real quick. Like, they don't really matter too much. One Nightmare Unicorn, just because you can technically climb into it. The Phoenix, which is, you know, used to climb into it. Dark the Dark Charmer, because we can technically make Dark the Dark Charmer with the Lord of the Heavenly Prison. I don't believe there's anything else in our extra deck that we can use to make Dark the Dark Charmer, but the fact that we can potentially make it with Lord of the Heavenly Prison I think makes it worth an inclusion, because even if we banish it, which, you know, oftentimes we are going to banish it, and I think we might even sub this out for a second, Dark the Dark Charmer, the Nightmare Phoenix, because, you know, making Nightmare Phoenix has only ever been bad for me, to be completely honest. You shouldn't really link, but if you are going to link into this card, because it's completely broken. Stealing DPE is insane. And then, yeah, obviously my don't link rule just completely goes out the window, because you run 3 Imduck. This could be Link Spider as well. I think Link Spider's better, but I don't own Link Spider, and, like, I don't want to order it off of the internet. It's just such a card that I don't own, and I don't know how to get. So we play Imduck because, yeah, some people, there have been situations where people have played into the Imduck zone, and it has worked out for me. You could also play Lin, the Spirit Charmer of the Wind, because you can make it with the Imduck. Yeah, that's pretty sick, potentially, if you're not, like, zombie locked with the Elf cards, which a lot of times you are. Boom. That's it for the extra. Not really too important. For the side is super important. 3 Lava Golem. If you're going second, if you know you're going to go second, slide this card in. You'll probably win the game. And this is where I would put 3... Oh, also, I don't have Ash Blossom. I don't have Evenly Matched. I don't have Lightning Storm. I don't have Harpy's Feather Duster. So these cards would be in consideration, but I can't even test them because they're too expensive. I mean, Harpy's Feather Duster I could pick up for like $10, but I don't think Harpy's Feather Duster would be very good. But there are a lot of cards that I simply don't have, like Ash Blossom. What's a Ghost Bell? That card is completely insane. Don't have any of those cards. They're just out of my price range. But we have 3, and Spear Mode. That's the other card that's out of my price range at the moment. So 3 Lava Golem. I would recommend 3 Spear Mode, but, you know, throwing this card down on the opponent's boards is just like, you probably win the game, because you simplify the game state to such an extent that it's like, oh man, it's like I've got 1 card or like 2 cards versus, you know, a set 4, and I've got a 3k 2500 that's burning me every turn. That's fantastic. And then you can flip like Rivalry or, yeah, something like that, and just get rid of it. It's fantastic. Thanks Lava Golem for being a fiend. Yeah, he's really good. Skullmeister is another card I like deciding going second. It really just depends, because I don't have my sideboard like mapped out, because I'm not like the best player in the world. I mean, there's a lot of laziness, I think, in the way that I approach the game. I should have my sideboards like thought out versus every single matchup. And only in like fringe cases should I be thinking about what side it should be like automatic. This is just such an amateur hour thing by me, but I'll get there one day. But I like to side this card in when I know I'm going second as well. Not all the time, but some of the time. Just against stuff that like I know is going to be triggering the graveyard. I side this card against Drytron all the time, because my buddy plays Drytron. I play him in like every tournament. And this card's insane versus him. Yeah, Skullmeister's pretty good. Ghost Bell's also pretty good, but, you know, Skullmeister's pretty good too. Lancia, which sometimes, you know, seems a little self-preventative, but I will say that Lanciaing Flunder is, like, the really only interaction you have. So you put this card in your side deck just to, like, hope to draw it versus Flunder. If you should have to draw versus Flunder. Kind of sucks. Flunder matchup's really hard, probably the hardest matchup. It's just like so hard to win versus Flunder. Going first or going second. They really own Eldlich. But that's another card that I like to side depending on the matchup. And then we're on 3 Imperm. This is a card I pretty much always side in. I feel like going second. I couldn't really tell you why I always sided in going second, just because I feel like I want to have some kind of effect veiler kind of esque negation. I have effect veilers, but I think this card's a little bit more on theme for the trap deck. And yeah, Imperm's just generally pretty good, so I don't feel bad signing this card in. This card's also like, sometimes there's cards in my main deck that are bad versus like an opponent's deck, and this is one of the cards that I have in there kind of as like a flex off of like a meta call trap, which is kind of it's a sad reality of the way you have to play this deck, is like basically on meta calls. Oh, and this is like my saddest part of the deck profile, but Actually, I love these cards, and I'm like sad they're not in my main deck, but I just don't think they really do enough for you in game one. Game one should be pretty much like you need to win that game, and you need to hope they're not like main decking spell trap removal like that. But you know, 3 Solemn Judgment. I wish this was a gold rare, or that these two were supers. Rip. One day I'll find somebody who'll do the swap for me. So, in whichever way I lose value, I don't care. Like, I just want my cards to look like together. But you sign in Judgment for games 2 and 3 pretty much 100% of the time, just because your worst matchup, and I'll say this until the day that the deck is dead, your worst matchup is game 2 and game 3, and that's why this deck is a problem in Master Duel, but it's not a problem in real life. It is very good. I'm not going to say it's a bad deck, but I don't have all the tools necessarily. Like the Ash Blossoms and the Cross-Site Designators, Nibiru. I mean, we wouldn't play Nibiru, but there's a lot of stuff that I simply don't have access to, unfortunately. But hey, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! These days. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, game 2 and game 3. That's why you have to have judgments, because people have like crazy stuff for you. Oftentimes, it will literally come down to you'll like activate a crazy trap, and your opponent will just go red reboot, and if you don't have the judgment, you'll instantly lose. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. There's not really much else to say. I was like trying to think of like, I was like, do I need to even, is there like an and then statement? But you just have to have this card in your deck. Games 2 and game 3. Games 2 and 3, excuse me. It's just too insane not to have. I mean, it's hard for me not to have this in my main deck, but it's really also difficult for me to find what cards to cut to put this card in. Half your life points is steep. But this card is pretty much in the deck games 2 and 3 because of, like I said, you need to be really, really stopping cards that are like sided in versus you. And this card's fantastic for that. So, you know, perhaps there's a version of Eldlich where this card is in the main deck again. It's really, really good. I think that it's kind of trendy nowadays to side deck the 3 Solemn Judgments just because it's like the best going first card ever, but it's really trash going second. Yeah. If this was a best of 1 format, obviously it would be in the main deck, but you know, we don't play best of 1 formats in the TCG. Anyway, guys, that was my Eldlich deck profile. It's been a while since I've talked to y'all, but hopefully we're gonna be pursuing some new Yu-Gi-Oh stuff in the future, and hopefully not involving this asshole. All right. Anyway, guys, it's been your boy Neosynthesis. Peace.